Lava, and very good morning to all of you. Good afternoon to some of you. And thank you all for taking the time to be here with us. I know for some of you, you taking time off your busy schedule. See, there's a good number of group that is here. And thank you for today. I know that our topic for today is a bit different. I'll share my screen to start things off. Let me first find where the PowerPoint is. And we'll take it from there. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah, we can. Go ahead.
Yes.
Thank you. And for those of you that have always been part of this webinar for the last almost 6 months, thank you for being part of this. This is UNCTAD's way of trying to socialize the work we're doing, but more importantly, just engaging with customs colleagues, with border management people across the Pacific. As you know, that continuous engagement, continuous partnership is very much part of the work that we do. Now, we don't do that because it's a nice thing to do. We do that because we don't do it because we're obligated to do it. We do it because it's important for us to do this moving forward. And the term that no single agency, no country, no institute on its own can address the challenge that we have in the Pacific is more important now than ever before. And thus we're having this catchy phrase of shift or sink. But I'd really like to make this webinar very informal and very conversational, and because that's how we in the Pacific operate. As much as we would like to see that doing things the Pacific way is good for us, unfortunately, the challenges that we face, we cannot solve them the Pacific way. We will have to find creative ways to address our problems. But we can also draw from the wisdoms of the past. We can draw from some of the strengths that we've had together, our resilience, our collective strength, to be able to see this as something that needs a unified front. Because the challenges that we have now is unprecedented. And we all agree that it's not something that we can do on our own. Our leaders are really trying to come up with creative ways, creative solutions to address this problem. And for us, it's how then, and at an institutional level, at an organizational level, as border agencies, find ways to be able to address this. And bearing in mind, big issues like climate change, our region is probably one of the most geopolitically contested region right now. And that goes to show just how much the interest is in this part of the world. Our ocean, as much as it covers 1/3 of the global mess, it has become one of the most expensive places in the world to move cargo across, simply because of the vast ocean that we have. And that very ocean that connects us is the same ocean that challenges us. That same ocean that our forefathers used as a source of life. Now we have to find the delicate balance in drawing from that same ocean, and also finding ways in which we can preserve and save our ocean from the things that are happening. Ocean acidification, climate shifting, now with the migration of tuna that everyone's talking about, that the impact on the industries that rely heavily on fishing, that's going to be bigger than COVID. Fiji has experienced that for the last 6-7 years now. You know, our factory in the Buka has shifted to Pango.
Okay.
You know, that had a huge economic impact on us. But that will also shift. That shift will also happen in Pango. That'll happen in Kiribati. That'll happen in Solomons. And the economical spiral that will come out of that, you know, is something that we need to embrace. But here's the thing, and here's really the kicker for us. We're talking about all this shift. But for the last 600-700 years, four things, and this really is the basis of what I'd like to share with us this morning. Four things hasn't changed. That is at the very core of customs, is at the very core of biosecurity, is at the very core of immigration, is at the very core of all border management agency that sits, that performs their duty at the border. And these four things are flow of goods, flow of people, information flow, and financial flow. Yeah? And then I'll unpack this a little. And I say this again. These four things hasn't changed. And this has shaped the world that we live in. It has shaped our region. It shaped how we do things. It's the flow of goods, information flow, financial flow, and people flow. What has changed in the last 600-700 years is the impact of those flows. Regionally, it's the impact of those flows to national jurisdiction. It's the volume of those flows. And the impact of those flows, those four flows into our country, has really shaped the policy that governs us, has shaped how we respond, has shaped the illicit movement of cargo, has shaped also the policy, fiscal policy, and the financial policy that allows us to be able to perform our function. Now, the question for us is this. Those shifting dynamics has resulted in things like the type of skill set that we currently have. You know, we don't have the numbers to be able to combat a lot of the challenges that we have right now. If you go around the Pacific, go anywhere for that matter, I said, oh, we have lack of staff. Human resource continues to be a challenge. The physical resource, there's no funds to be able to fund all of these things. This just adds to the complexity of the challenges that we have. And now currently we have different types of trade agreements that have different trade rules that we need to comply with. In addition to that, organized crime has now just adds to the burden that all border agencies need to address across the Pacific. We know how that has affected our border, our geopolitical, apart from the geopolitical context that we have, our porous borders, the maritime space that we have. That just adds to everything that we continue to do. The technology that we currently deploy, and I'm not saying this to undermine anyone. Technology and the legislative framework that we currently have, that continues to add to the challenges we have. Yeah, smuggling, and with that, the skills that we currently have right now, a lot of the skills that we have right now, and if we talk about customs, the skills that we have right now, the generic skills of core skills of rules of origin, valuation, and harmonized system, you know, this has been the core skills for customs for over 20 years. In the next 2 years, those core skills needs to change. It needs to change from yesterday. Analytical skills, the skill to be able to be dynamic in compliance management, risk management, and intelligence, investigation and audit. These are core skills not only for customs, for immigration, for biosecurity. These challenges has demanded us to review the type of skill sets that we have. The ability for us to quickly unlearn, the ability for us to quickly relearn and respond to the challenges that we have. And this again informs to, I'll come back to this slide later on, because the enablers to, or the how we address some of these challenges is very much part of the work that UNCTAD is doing in partnership with OCO and other partners across the Pacific. And I'll come back to this slide towards the end of this presentation. Let's see, it's supposed to move, it hasn't moved. Supposed to move to the next slide, but it hasn't. Let's see if I can move this. Okay, there you go. So currently, as we speak, there are 4 or 5 trade agreements that we currently have right now in the Pacific. And as you know, this a big one right now that everyone's been talking about is PACE Plus. They've done a lot of good work around the region. PICTA has been around for some time, PICTA and MSG. And the one that we're involved in is AIPA with the EU. But overall, what encompasses all of that harmonizes all of this work together is the WTO TFA. Eh? And then from customs perspective, it's important that we understand this policy in its full context, because RKC has always been the blueprint for customs. But the WTFA has come in not to replace the RKC, but to enhance the capability of RKC. If you look at the WTO TFA is 80% revised Kyoto Convention. And taking that into account within the WTO TFA, the 42 measures of the TFA, 28 of those measures are customs-centric measures. And if you add in other partners like biosecurity, environment, and health, it all comes to about 34 of those measures are customs and other partners. Eh? So you see how, from an international perspective, how important the role that customs plays at the border. But it's not a customs-centric role. It's a role that needs to be coordinated with other partners, and the TFA advocates for that. Now, it also adds to what I said earlier. The reason for the need for coordinated partnership is because of the challenges we have. And I think it's important for us to understand this. Eh? We understand that we've got a number of trade agreements that are there that the Pacific needs to align itself to, which currently happening. Some have been around for some time, but it's important that everybody harmonizes and coordinates their effort to be able to see that all of these things are brought to bear. Next slide. Okay. Now, from a TFA, from a WTO TFA perspective, Pacific Island Forum has put together, based on the TFA, a regional strategy for trade. This is a direct mirror of the WTO TFA, but more into the context of the Pacific, where the approach is more palatable, so to speak. But this is done in partnership. Our leaders have signed this, and this has become the document in which we will roll out the implementation of the TFA in the Pacific. UNCTAD, OCO, and its partners work in sync with this document. And it has 5 strategic objectives, and this cuts across all of our agencies, not only customs, it's trade, it's environment, biosecurity, and even immigration. Because understanding that remember those 4 flows: the trade of the movement of people and the movement of cargo. There's synchronity in how these 2 things move. When we talk about trade agreements, you cannot talk about movement of people without labor mobility. The 2 go together. While they're covered separately in the trade agreement, but they're interlocked in terms of how this is operationalized. And it's important for us as border agencies to be able to understand this in its fullest. But those clusters, those strategic objectives are divided into 5. There are 5 key strategic objectives. And they are risk-based compliance approach, a clearance process that is simplified and coordinated. Key word here is simplification and coordination. Now, there's a reason why simplification is there. Because when things are simple, compliance is easy. And remember, our role as border agencies, we regulate trade. We do not trade. We simplify the trade processes so the private sector can find it easy for them to comply. That's why simplification is important. Simplified and coordinated. It means that customs, immigration, biosecurity, all agencies at the border need to work together. They need to harmonize their practice. They need to harmonize legislation, policies, and procedures so that simplification works in tandem with coordination. And I hope this makes sense. Oh, I forgot to say this earlier. Please, if you have any question, put your hands up and using the icon. Because we would like, as much as I said, we would like to make this conversational and make this very informal. This is a Talanoa session, so don't feel like that I'm talking to you. I'm talking with you. We're just having a conversation. Third one is transparency and advance decision. So again, talk about transparency. It's important to be transparent. So, but transparency is not something you build overnight. Transparency is built on trust. As much as we say, advanced decision making, you've got to have the right process, the structures, the procedures to allow you to make advanced decision making. So this is talking about the virtual border, where decisions are made as early as possible, even before cargo, before people come alongside. And we'll talk about a little bit about this further down the track. Because it's part of the work that we're doing with partners to ensure that the shipment is expedited through the right policy framing, the right system enhancement, so that work is not only transparent, but also it's done in advance before cargo comes in. Streamlining and harmonization, again, it's a bit similar to what's above. Streamlining basically is just ensuring that process and procedures are simplified. Streamlining, if the A process 1 to 6, we'll try and find a way where we can take out 3 and 4 so that it runs on a straight line. A lot of these processes for automation builds itself on streamlined processes, not on outdated processes. And then the fifth one, the electronic information exchange. Now, given that the environment that we're in now is predominantly, we're moving into a digital era now. Everything that we work with is very much in the digital space. It's important for us that our legislation it's ready to be able to and has the ability for us to be able to operate in this digital space, meaning electronic signature, electronic information exchange, electronic data capture, electronic retention for audit, for investigation, electronic exchange with different agencies, electronic exchange with the banks, with different partners. All of these things need to be captured within your legislation. And also with that comes the threat of cyber. So some of the work that we're doing is how best we can posture ourselves when it comes to the challenges of cyber. But at the offset, it's important for us to be able to have some of these things within our legislation. So let's look at our state of play. Currently, this is against the WTO TFA. I spoke a bit about the WTO TFA. So across the region right now, this is where the status of where everyone is at. And this is the regional view, regional lens on the WTO TFA. So it looks pretty okay from a trade perspective. This is where everyone's at on the different articles and the different elements of the provisions of the WTO TFA. This is customs processes, customs legislation across 15 PACP countries. Bearing in mind, going back to what I said earlier, 85% of the TFA is drawn from the RKC, and then a lot of the customs agency across the Pacific have not only aligned but also have acceded to the RKC, and this is a reflection of the work that has been done over the years. But we will continue to push this because there's certain areas that are like advanced ruling, customs cooperation, single window, and around information exchange on electronic capture and authorized operations. A lot of these things are, because this is the regional lens, when you go down to the national level, a lot of countries are still, there's a lot that needs to be done. So, but then let's look at the procedural gaps, because it's one thing to have alignment to your legal provision. It's your procedures, your SOPs are the one that props your ability to operationalize your legal provision. You might have the legal capability to do things, but in order for you to have teeth to operationalize that legal element, SOPs, procedures, process, workflows needs to be in place for you to be able to put that in practice. Unfortunately, this is an area that needs a lot of work around the Pacific from a trade perspective in alignment to TFA. And it's also work that we're currently working towards with partners to be able to address. So this is the status of where everyone's at. Now let's flip the coin to the crime side of things. And I know that when we talk about trade, the trade space is I wouldn't say well covered, but we've covered that quite well in terms of legislation. How do we respond, the partnership, and it's quite good. And we know that trade is the engine of growth across the Pacific, globally and across the Pacific. But also a big challenge for us in the Pacific, which is the social harm that it's creating for us right across, is the infliction of drugs and transnational organized crime. It really demands us to do things. And the reason why I'm putting that here is from a customs perspective, and also immigration and other partners. The trade facilitation, revenue collection, and border security are core functions of customs. That has been like that over the years. But you will realize that border security has taken a dominant role now in the last 5 to 10 years. So you cannot isolate yourself from saying that this is not our area of focus, because this is affecting the role of customs and all other agencies at the border. Now let's look at where everyone stands in terms of the legal provision. And this was taken off some of the partners that we have. And this is just a broad snapshot. We've got some of the data for some of the countries, legal gaps, but also some of the challenges that they have. For drugs, Fiji and PNG comes out at the top, and the color codes that are there reflects the current legal gaps and also the challenges that they face. These are the status and the legal gaps that we currently have. We won't go into the details of this, but I want us to have a look at how this plays out. And in this is the data from last year. Again, it's important for us to see this in its full context, for us to be able to understand how we respond to this. Now, from our end, from UNCTAD side, one of the work that we've done in partnership with OCO and Ernst & Young is setting up an intelligence-led risk-based compliance strategy for 15 countries in the Pacific. Now, before we do that, we took into account everything that we just spoke about, from a trade lens, from a revenue perspective, and from a security perspective. We took all of that into consideration and took into consideration everything that has been done through the years. Now, taking into account policy procedures, taking into account legislation, taking into account all the work that has been done and the institutional capability, this was the maturity assessment that we did for the 15 countries. And the 15 countries are listed there. Their ability to target using a risk-based approach, the intelligence program that's in country, the security component along the value chain. This is domestic, the ability to surveil and to monitor the targets using person of interest or cargo of interest, their targeting capability, the documentation of person of interest. All of these things were taken into consideration when we did the administration maturity assessment. And if you look at this, now from a trade, let me explain this. From a trade perspective, it's important that we understand if we want to be facilitative, we cannot just all open the floodgate. The reason why intelligence and risk management plays a pivotal role, not only for customers, but for all border agencies, because it strikes that delicate balance between facilitation and control. And the idea is that you would like to identify risk, whether it's people or cargo, as early as possible before it comes to your border. So the targeting, the processes, the targeting procedures, all of this has to be done at the virtual end. So the border is actually divided into three: the virtual border, the physical, and the post border. The idea in intelligence-led risk-based strategy is your targeting has to be done at the virtual end, meaning before the cargo comes alongside, before people comes alongside, your process and procedures at the virtual border should be in place to be able to do your risk analysis. So this is part of working smarter, not harder. We don't have the resources to be able to do this, but we need to put in place the right capability, put in place the right policy that supports this approach. So this was the assessment that we did. So when you take that into account, you'll see that a lot of the countries are sitting around basic or developing. Establish and advance probably none of them are sitting around that. A lot of them are sitting around basic, but at least it gives us a good baseline as to where everyone's at. So that has been established, and this is just a more that explains how the flow of work happens and on where everyone's at, the type of collaboration, the type of coordination, the type of policy that needs to be in place, and the assessment that we did it with them. So there's a range of work that was done alongside this, pre-border, at the border, and post-border. And again, the whole idea in this is you would like to identify who are your compliant operators, who are trying to be compliant, who are the ones avoiding to be compliant, but at the same time, you need to know why are they avoiding to be compliant, and who are deliberately not trying to comply. Because the idea behind this, and I think, and this is important, the idea behind this is usually 97% of those that move, 97 to 98% of those that move and travel across the border are mostly highly compliant. Your role is to find the ones that are deliberately not compliant and avoid, and for those that are avoiding compliance. And that is why you need to have the procedures and the mechanism in place. And the idea is that the higher the compliance, the lower the risk they pose to you. The lower the compliance, the higher the risk they pose to you. And when that happens, you've got to have the machinery in place to be able to address that. And then those machineries are things like this. Okay, those machineries are things like this that are here. That's in this slide. Those machineries will then tell you how you respond based on their compliance level. So, yeah. I'll jump straight to, and with that, we've categorized countries. There are different countries that now fit into, they are either in the micro, medium, micro, small, or medium, because this model is very scalable. So the countries that are in the micro are there. Those that are in the smaller are listed there. The structures and their framing are also there. And those that are in the medium, in the more bigger economy, their models are there. This part of this, the second part of this work is what we're doing in this from July moving forward, and we'll be working with countries to be able to enhance this. Now, the elephant in the room. Now, we've spoken a lot about policies and procedures, and this is something that I know a lot of us never like to talk about, but it's something that's important for us. When we talk about process, procedures, organized crime, and everything else, you can't deviate from this. The enablers, the key enablers of crime is always corruption. There are those that, and the iceberg analogy provides that perfect thing for us. There are those that you see, that the full-time criminals, but then there are those that we don't even know that are there. But this is something that we have to live with. This is also something that we need to eradicate. How we do that, how you do that within your own administration, it's important for you to understand that this is something that requires only collective effort. It's much more than policy. You can have the best policy, you can have the best system, but this is something that, as all border agencies, you need to address systematically, and find ways to do it. TRS, part of something that we're also doing, and I think it's also important for us to understand this time release study should become the tool for modernizing our process and procedures. It's also work that we're doing with partners, and it's something that we hope that over time we'll be able to see the fruition of it. Now, when we talk about digital border, let me go back. Now it's working. When we talk about digital border, this is something we all see. We talk about system, we talk about, and my colleagues that have been talking to you in the last 6 months, most of them have been talking to you around process around this, ASYCUDA, and the how you troubleshoot elements within this, your portals and things like that. But there's a range of work that happens beneath this. There's an architectural things that happens to help build what's there. The legal framework, like what we just spoke about, the policies and procedures, the capability of your people, the ability for you to harmonize process and procedures across different agencies, even if you're talking about single window. And your ability, the system architecture inside your own institution, your ability to be able to respond to things like this. But overall, in all of this, overall, what continues to challenge us is your ability to change. We can we can come in, give you a new system, we can give you put up a new policy, we can recruit the right people, we can talk about all these things that are affecting us. If we don't have the ability to respond to change well, and advocate for change well in a systematic way, some of these things tend to fall off the crack. And the thing is, because at the end of the day, it's not that we stop business or that we can do our change management program. We are changing while our regular work continues to run, and this is one of the biggest challenges that we see across the Pacific. That while you're implementing risk management, you're implementing customs business partnership, you're implementing all these other work that partners are trying to come and develop your institution, your normal day-to-day work continues to run. It's like diagnosing or repairing a truck with the engine still running. That's the biggest challenge. But it's a challenge that through your leadership, through the right advocacy within the institution, you will have to live with, given the challenges that you have right now. So coming back to what we said earlier, how do we bring it all together? How then can we, because customs is not isolated in this change, it's bringing its partners, it's bringing business agencies in seeing that the need for us to move together in partnership is more important, more than ever. So I'll skip this. I'll come to this, because all of this change comes down to these two things. With how then can you respond from a human resource perspective? And I spoke about custom skill set, about rules of origin, HS, the generic core custom skills. But those custom skills, no disrespect, it's a bit outdated now. The ability to manage the border, the ability to understand the legal provisions of international rules, ability to profile, ability to analyze data, the ability to investigate, to audit. These are core technical skills, not only for customs, it's also for immigration, it's also for biosecurity, it's also all agencies that now operate at the border. And these are what's called the core technical skills. The other skills that you also need to acquire now is your soft skills, is your people skills, the ability to manage projects, the ability to lead, the ability to empathize, the ability to work as a team and be nimble enough to be able to, that you're fluid enough to respond to some of these changes that are happening. Because all these things, policies, procedures, systems, these are easy things to implement. But the hardest part of all of this is the human capability to respond and be dynamic enough given the changes that are happening. So I think in closing, okay, let me try and move this. Let's move it. Okay, in closing, for us, it's the ability to change. And someone once said this, the same level of thinking that brought us here, brought us to where we are right now, cannot be the same level of thinking that will take us to where we need to be. And I think that's true for us. The dinosaur picture that's there, that the dinosaur is not around because it couldn't adapt. And for us, at the border, the biggest challenge for us is to be able to respond to posture for change, because we are neither at the domestic scene, we are neither at the international scene. We're basically sitting on the fence. So if anything happens in the international scene, it affects your role at the border. If anything happens in the national scene, it affects your role at the border. So you have to be fluid and dynamic to be able to respond to that change. It's important for us to be that dynamic and that fluid. Now with AI, how does that affect your role? people's work has to evolve rapidly so that we can not only survive. It's important for us to be able to see this through together as a region. I think that's about it from my end, and I hope all of you are still around, and it'll be good to get some questions so that we can see if all of this makes sense. Hello, do you have any questions on the? Okay, let me see. Yes, please. Can we hear? Do you have any questions from anyone? Does this make sense or? Hello? We go to the chat. Okay. Let me just say this, the presentation will be shared with you. I will get Rishma to send the presentation to you. All of you will get this presentation and you can use it. But can we get some questions? Does anyone have any question? I can't see the chat box. Rishma, is there any questions on the chat box? Let me see. Here we go.
Not yet there.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry. We'll share the presentation. Share the presentation with everyone. Arishma, how do we do that? You can share it on the. You can share it on the chat box, the final one, the one I gave you. But it'd be good to get some question. Anyone? Is Dodon here? Or anybody else? Hope it didn't put you to sleep. Joseph. Someone's asking you a question. Okay, I've got a question in the chat box. Okay, the Chiefs will definitely win against the Crusaders. And not only that, the game tonight, Queensland and New South Wales. I hate to disappoint you, New South Wales fans. You guys will lose. Question that came on the chat box. So of course, definitely Stanley. I think from let me just say this. I think from our end, to sum up today's discussion, when you talk about digital transformation, it's more to do with people than system. I know that it's a big thing now. Everyone's into ASYCUDA, which is good. Big tech things are happening so fast. But it's like everything else. It's how we respond to this and how do we position ourselves with everything that's happening. And then everyone's asking, will AI replace us? Will AI replace the work that we do? For me, I don't believe that's the case. AI actually it amplifies our expertise. It doesn't replace your ability to think. It doesn't. It just makes you better. It just makes you a better thinker. It doesn't replace your ability to solve problems. It just makes you a better problem solver. So it's about using these tools to be able to enhance your ability to do your work. And I think it's important for us to understand that. See, chat box is all about the game, but that's good. So I think this thing is. So there's a question here around for brokers. Maybe not the presenters. Every country now using brokers for importation. So maybe for across the maybe the Nauru will be a little bit different. customs brokers. Customs brokers, I think majority are using customs brokers for clearance. But remember one thing, under the TFA and also under the RKC, it's not mandatory that you use customs brokers. But then that's the good thing. That's a good thing about the duality that exists in the Pacific right now, because you've got those that use customs brokers and then those that are self for the declarant. Yeah, that's why the provision for the declarant is always there. So the brokers can also be used, but the self-assessed for declarant is also an important component. And the TFA advocates for the declarant. I'm not saying that you can use the broker. You can always use the broker. Because the broker is a good tool that customs can use for compliance management, but the option is always there. See, there you go. So Vanuatu is saying custom brokers will become obsolete. Vanuatu is always leading the way in this, and because of ASYHub. So these are capabilities that continues to shift the bounds of how we do work, and that's how we respond. And thank you. Any other questions? I hope this thing made sense to everyone. So Solomon, how's the upgrade coming? How's things happening in that part of the world? Because we're missing Dodan here. Okay, not yet. Okay, there's a question here.
Oh,
Definitely, thank you, John, for that. I think that's basically the way forward. The technologies is really going leaps and bounds. For us, it's how we have the right framing, have the legal framework, have the policies and procedures to do it. But then again, it's the ethics side of it. Even say which one is lawful, which one is not. So that's also the boundary that we also need to be working alongside with. Yeah, it's really reshaping how we do things, and that's why for us it's about reimagining what it's going to be like moving forward. Creative thinking, and also responding to how things are happening. It's out of the box. A lot of these things is really out of the box for us. And it's going to challenge everything that we've known. The ability to unlearn and relearn quickly is important for all of us, no matter what industry you work in. Thank you, John, for that. So hopefully sometime soon we'll have some regional workshop, and then we'll be able to discuss some of these things in person. It will be good to meet in person and discuss some of these things. So we have plans of having some of these regional workshop and national workshop coming up, and then we hope to see all of you, connect with all of you, and talk about this more. And if there's anything else, moving forward, if there's any other topics that you guys want us to expound on, it'll be good to put in the chat. Something that we can, put together so that we can have something like this to build towards, and share experiences from different countries around these topics. Okay. Rishma, do you have any other question? One is for the regional workshop. Yes. Okay. We'll ask our boss. She's here online too. Yes. I think there's about 500 people who want a regional workshop. That's too much again. I see my boss is nodding. Yes. I think that's about it from us, everyone. Thank you again for coming online. It's always good to be connected. Let's keep in touch, and Arishma will upload the PowerPoint, and please use the PowerPoint in whatever way you want to use it. We'll be in touch. Vinava Levu, and thank you everyone for today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ratu. Thank you, Ratu.
Vinaka, see.